Your mind.
As the big shocking upset winner in the NCAA Championship Tournament.
CBS Sports, over 50 years of great memories.
Jumper is sweet. Pump fake. But got it to go. Slams it for two. Oh, what a move. Oh, Alabama. Kentucky's got it. All the way to the basket. Behind the back pass. Corner slam. Oh. And a dunk. Exclamation point. It's a dunk. Sparks into the circle. Right in stride. He got the feet set. High above the rim. Gorgeous pass.
It's a beautiful day in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, in the most anticipated game of the season for the Crimson Tide. And the sold-out Coleman Coliseum with the two best records in the Southeastern Conference matching up. Number 5 Kentucky takes on number 14 Alabama. Right now, Bama leads the Western Division by a slim margin over LSU, and the Wildcats lead the East. A Kentucky win today gives them the regular season title outright. Pleasant good afternoon, everyone, with Dan Bonner, Kevin Harlan. Thanks so much for joining us today. Dan, surprising that two freshman point guards are leading the way for both these teams?
Kevin, even in this day and age where freshmen have to contribute, yes, it is surprising that they would be doing it from the point guard spot. Each of these teams has an outstanding freshman point guard. For Kentucky, it's Rajon Rondo, a young man whose speed really makes him a very, very fine player. However, we'll have to see how that speed is affected today. He has a bruised rib. He may not start the game. And with as valuable as he has been to Kentucky, being able to create things for his teammate, particularly on the defensive end, does a great job stealing the basketball, really effective at pushing the ball in transition, and he uses his explosiveness to get to the basket. All those skills will be tested today with the injury. And for Alabama, you're talking about Ronald Steele. This is a young man who all his teammates and coaches want to talk about is his steadiness. He has really improved his three-point shooting. Doesn't turn the ball over, obviously a key today.
So two freshman point guards leading the way. It's Kentucky and Alabama. The beginning of a big college basketball weekend and the road to the Final Four on CBS.
CBS Sports college basketball coverage is sponsored by Chevy and American Revolution, supercharged for 2005. Nivea for men, more evolved skincare. And by State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
With Dan Bonner, it's Kevin Harlan, and we are in the heart of Alabama in Tuscaloosa for a great game today. The Kentucky Wildcats and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Tubby Smith is in his 8th season at the University of Kentucky. He's won a national championship and he's won 20 games plus every time he's gone into his season. State Farm covers the court as we take a look at the starting lineups. Chuck Hayes, Randolph, Azubuike with Rajon Rondo and the transfer Patrick Sparks. Mark Gottfried, who was a player here, the Southeastern Conference Championship team of '87 in his 7th season at Alabama. And this afternoon, he will start a backcourt tandem of Ernest Shelton and the freshman Ronald Steele with Kennedy Winston, Jamario Davidson up front. That is a very good front line. Chuck Davis is a guy, too, we're going to watch. A terrific shooter and a great rebounder. Our officials this afternoon, Gerald Boudreau, Ed Corbett, and Joe Lindsay. Alabama is coming off a 2-point loss at LSU. A tip-in at the buzzer did them in. And Kentucky beat Auburn Wednesday by 8 points. You can take a look at Kentucky's 2 straight wins. But now in different divisions, of course, they only play each other, Dan Bonner, once a season.
Only play one another once a season. Prior to those 2 wins by Kentucky, Alabama had won 2 in a row.
And we are underway with Rondo running up for the Wildcats.
Rondo bruised a rib against Auburn. He was wearing a flak jacket in practice yesterday. Doesn't look like he's got anything on underneath his uniform right at the moment. Ball goes inside to Hayes against the Alabama man-to-man.
Davis was defending, and the rebound is pulled off the glass by Davidson. Steal to Davidson to Kennedy Winston.
Kentucky starts in the man-to-man as well. And a very difficult matchup for Kentucky will be Shelton against Sparks.
And Davidson kind of fumbled it around, but nonetheless he was whacked at inside, and a Kentucky foul.
Azubuike got him.
Azubuike
got him. That's a nice job. Davis is a very effective back-to-the-basket player. As you get a look at Kalena Azubuike, he's a guy who can maybe put 25, 30 points on the board for Kentucky. And in a game like this, they can't afford to lose him. Davidson, a sophomore, did a nice job last year.
We talked before, Dan, with Kentucky winning, they get the regular season title outright in the Southeastern Conference. An Alabama win keeps them in contention for the SEC title, and probably more important for them in front of LSU in that Western Division.
Here's Steele matched up against Rondo. This is a very interesting matchup. Rondo doesn't really shoot it well from the perimeter. Steele's going to have to watch his driving to the basket.
Winston is guarding Azubuike, and they go inside with the freshman Morris. Knocked out of bounds. It's off Alabama. The shot clock at 14 seconds.
Morris is a guy who they've been doing a much better job getting the ball to him in scoring position. They need to have an inside threat, and he is beginning to provide one.
And that was tapped out of bounds by Davidson, just a second off the shot clock.
Morris, a strong kid, and as a freshman, we talked about the freshman point guard, but Morris is a guy who has had to go up some veteran big men in the Southeastern Conference, and so sort of been trial by fire for him.
Rondo inbounding the ball. He is out of Louisville, Kentucky, but played his senior year down in about the Wilson, Virginia. A nice shot inside. It's put in by Chuck Hayes.
Hayes, at 6'6", over 240 pounds, a very powerful presence down on the inside. That will be another fascinating matchup.
Over Azubuike, this is Winston for 3. And Kennedy Winston is the second leading scorer in the Southeastern Conference coming into today. Sparks and Rondo. Azubuike is from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Kentucky actually has not been a real good half-court offensive team this year, and Alabama so far has done a nice job getting the defense set.
Azubuike with the shot clock down to 3. Sparks working inside. Davidson with the Alabama rebound, and they trigger it ahead. Caught by Shelton. Sparks was there defending. Shelton. Azubuike with the rebound.
Nice job by Alabama to get back defensively. Kentucky's a team that's much better in transition than in the half court, but there's that power we talked about with Morris.
Randolph Morris, a 6'10 freshman from Atlanta, one of 3 McDonald's All-Americans on this Kentucky Wildcat team.
Kentucky is an outstanding defensive squad, leads the SEC in most defensive categories.
Hayes is guarding Davis, and a turnover, and that's what Kentucky does.
And what they'd like to do with that turnover, Kevin, is get the ball up the court quickly before Alabama can get set, because Alabama is also an outstanding defensive team.
Azubuike against Winston. And doubled by Davidson, and he got it to roll.
Boy, that's a very tough move to the basket, and Mark Gottfried has to be a little upset about that. The ball never reversed the floor. It's just Azubuike took it and drove it to the basket.
Shelton, nice touch pass inside for Davis.
You talk about moving the ball around the court for Alabama. This is just an outstanding play. Watch as this ball just comes all the way around. Excellent job passing the basketball. It looked like Shelton had a shot. He passed it up. And Davis, very clever around the basket. Not noted for his jump shooting ability, but boy, he gets the ball down close. And he is very, very effective.
Davis completes the three-point play in Alabama, which has been up by as many as 3, now leading Kentucky by 2.
And Alabama now showing some 2-3 zone. With the exception of Sparks, Kentucky doesn't really shoot it well from the perimeter with this lineup in the game.
Steele with the pass inside to Davis again. When they go back the other way, the freshman Morris finds 2. And that time Alabama did not get back well on defense.
No, they did not. And you got to give Morris a lot of credit. Nice job running the court right there. Alabama went to that zone to try to avoid that penetration that Kentucky was getting. And the zone doesn't help unless you get back and set the zone.
This is the sophomore Davidson. And he is picked up by the freshman Morris. Steele for 3. That is a foul inside on Jamario Davidson of Alabama. And his rebounding has been struggling, and I'm sure he's trying to really make his presence felt inside. A terrific pass, the finish by Davis, and the Tide up by 2.
Tim Duncan developed into a complete player and was the 1997 Naismith Player of the Year. Also a great defensive player, he ranks #2 all-time in block shots. Who is the only other Naismith winner to win the Defensive Player of the Year award 3 times? Now play Naismith's trivia for a shot at $1 million. Text the word PLAY to 26222 on your wireless phone. You'll get 20 questions for 20 chances to win a trip to the 2005 NCAA Men's Final Four and a shot at $1 million.
With the conclusion of today's game, we're going to select the Chevy MVP of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund. It's been a tradition for 30 years. Folks, a reminder, get complete basketball coverage at CBS Sportsline. And a reminder, fantasy baseball is now available for everyone from beginners to experts. Click on Fantasy Baseball at CBSSportsline.com. Perry has come in for Kentucky, as has Bradley. We've also brought in Joe Crawford. And Orsbu from Poland. Only Sparks, the original starter Kentucky Wildcat in the game. Sparks on the move. And a rebound by Davis.
Sparks not noted for his ability to drive the ball to the basket. That was a nice defensive play by Shelton. Alabama back to the man-to-man. Kentucky with 4 subs, and the Wildcats are a deep, deep roster.
Alabama has started 3 of 5 from the field. And that is a foul, and it's inside on Davidson. And he picks up his second personal foul.
Right, and that's a turnover, and the Kentucky defense very adept at forcing turnovers. We talked about their defense. Look at that defensive rank. Of course, the key number there is opponents' points per game, only about 60, but they generate almost 10 steals a game, and they force 6 more turnovers than they commit, so that all helps.
Robbie Moss is in the game for Kentucky. Wildcats have started 4 of 8 from the floor. There's Boot. And he tried to hand it off to Ramel Bradley. And that's a turnover.
Well, Orbsud in the game primarily, I think, because Tubby Smith is worried about the speed with which Alabama can play. Shagari Aline normally would be the first guy off the bench in the center position, but I think that Tubby's a little bit worried about his mobility against a very quick Alabama team.
Good point. Davis to Steele.
When Moss doing a great job getting out on Sheldon. Moss is noted as a great one-on-one defender.
Go inside, and Winston can't get it. Alabama is +3 so far in rebounding. And Bradley was in there fighting for the loose ball. And a foul goes on Bradley for the first time for Kentucky.
Boy, once you get the ball down close to the basket, particularly when your best player gets a dunk opportunity, you think that you've got an easy one, but the ball squirts out and Steele comes up with it.
Alabama has led by as many as 4. Kentucky has had a 1-point lead, 6-5.
And Kentucky drops back into a zone right at the moment.
Chuck Davis of Alabama leads all scorers with 5. This is a 3 and will not go for Shelton. Roy's Boot with the rebound. And this is Perry for 3, and he nails it. That's Bobby Perry, a sophomore from Durham, North Carolina. He's only been shooting 22% from the field over the last 6 games, so a big hit for him.
Particularly on the road, help him get his confidence a little bit. Kentucky now back to the man-to-man.
They brought in Evan Brock as Alabama. He's got the ball and he's jousting in there with Moss.
Boy, that's tremendous defensive pressure.
Steele. The foul inside.
I think they're going to get Bradley. And see, Bradley's really got a problem because Tubby Smith has him out there trying to guard Evan Brock, and Evan Brock with a substantial height advantage. Talked about the Kentucky defensive pressure. That's great pressure on Evan Brock. You got one of your big guys out handling the ball. That's a nice move to get out and pressure him.
Rondo back in for Bradley out. Here's Davis inside, and Chuck Davis has got a game-high 7 points. Rondo takes it inside and put off the glass very easily by Brock. Steele.
Well, I think it's going to be important that Alabama hit that particular shot when they double team down inside on Davis and he passes it out.
Brock picks up a foul for Alabama as Rajon Rondo is wheeling inside.
Talked about the game that Chuck Davis is having, and one reason is the penetration by Alabama. That time they penetrate, Orbsut has to come and guard the penetrator, and so as a result, nobody rotates over for Davis. You cannot leave Davis on the inside. He can do tremendous damage.
Jean Felix is now in for Alabama. First time he's come in. Great steal by Chuck Davis of the Crimson Tide.
Felix in there giving Kennedy Winston a blow early. Alabama only goes about 7 deep. Kentucky can go 11 or 12.
Alabama has won 13 consecutive home games. Into Davis again. And Orbsut picks up a foul.
See, and there's another problem. With Orbsut is going to guard Davis in there. Davis does a nice job utilizing his quickness to get by and draw the foul.
We've had 4 lead changes. Right now, Alabama on top of 5th-ranked Kentucky, 12-11. Dan, as you take a look at the landscape of college basketball this past week, here were some of the headlines.
Marquette already in trouble, and certainly it doesn't help them to lose Diener with that broken hand and out for the season, and John Chaney out for the regular season. And to be perfectly honest with you, Kevin, after that incident where John Chaney sent the guy in the game and the Bryant kid from St. Joe's is completely out for the season, I don't know that John Chaney ought to come back even if they make postseason. And Lute Olson tying John Wooden in victories in the Pac-10. That is really quite an accomplishment.
Tonight, Arizona takes on Washington. What a great game that is. Tomorrow on CBS, Kansas, Oklahoma State, a big game in the Big 12. Here we're in the Southeast Conference in Tuscaloosa with 5th-ranked Kentucky, 14th-ranked Alabama, the 2 top teams in the Southeastern Conference going head-to-head. Kennedy Winston for 3.
And that's what Alabama can do to you, Kevin. Kentucky comes out in a zone because they're having all kinds of problems guarding Chuck Davis on the inside, and Alabama now attacks him from the outside. The second 3 of the game for Kennedy Winston.
Each team has hit at least 1 3-point shot. Kentucky 2, and inside Rondo. Perry had it in his hands. Crushed onto by Chuck Davis of Bama.
Alabama has been concerned about their defensive rebounding, and there Orbsut picks up another foul. No problem with defensive rebounding for Alabama today, and no problem attacking the zone defense. Once again, you see Steele catching the ball at the top of the key, and the quick pass to the wing, and Kennedy Winston nails it.
Again, a 4-point deficit for Tubby Smith and his 5th-ranked Cats. High score, Chuck Davis with 7 for Kentucky. Make it for Alabama, and Winston has 6 for the Tide as well. Winston for another 3.
Well, you cannot leave him alone in the corner. The Kentucky coaching staff just looking on with disbelief that they would leave Kennedy Winston wide open again.
An 8-0 run by Alabama. This is their biggest lead this afternoon in the freshman Morris. And picked up by Winston. They had numbers there for a second, a 3-on-2, then Kentucky gets down and Alabama kind of recoils.
And I think that's a good play by Alabama. You don't want to force things. Well, that's a tough matchup for Rondo against Kennedy Winston. Winston, a couple of inches in size, takes him down inside.
Good defense by Randolph Morris. Here comes Rondo, 3-on-2, scoops it home with a great pass to Chuck Hayes.
And we talked about the value of Rondo to Kentucky, and you saw it right there. And that's really where Kentucky has played much better, particularly recently in the full court game rather than in the half court game.
These two top teams in the Southeastern Conference have been in the top 25 all season long. Winston into Davis. Working on Morris. And Morris picks up a foul for Kentucky.
It's just the quickness of Davidson, and when you're talking about quickness, then the Kentucky fast break can come at you pretty quickly as well. Right in the middle of the screen is Rondo. Now, as he gets to the point where he has to make the decision, he finds the open man, and finding the open man is really what you're interested in. You know, you got to know where that guy is. It's not, it doesn't do you any good to push the ball up the court if you can't make a decision, and that was a great decision by Rondo.
Alabama is already 3 of 3 at the free throw line, and Kentucky has not taken a free throw attempt this afternoon, and this is Davis. He knocks it in. He'll graduate in May in management. And that's a look at the free throw comparison this season.
Well, Alabama does a great job attacking the basket, and you can see they attempt more free throws than they make more free throws than their opponents attempt, and it's by a wide margin.
Now Davis and Winston for the Crimson Tide each had 9 points. Davis is a perfect 3 of 3 from the line, 3 of 3 from the field. He's got a nice start to the game. Azubuike inside to Hayes. He stepped out of bounds.
Kentucky trying to take the ball inside first, and that's one of the reasons why Alabama now in the zone. Here comes Kentucky with some pressure, trying to generate some steals.
Kentucky with 3 turnovers and Alabama with 2. Felix.
It's Jonas.
Way outside, Justin Jonas, a freshman. Not a shove and a foul. Looks like Chuck Davis, who did, picked up the foul for Alabama. Let's take a look at today's Wooden Award profile presented by TIAA Rupp. Kennedy Winston of Alabama. Some big-time numbers. Already a 2-time Southeastern Conference Player of the Week this season. For more on the Wooden Award candidates, log on to CBSSportsline.com.
Kennedy Winston certainly a legitimate candidate for the SEC Player of the Year, and there is Patrick Sparks, and that's good news for Kentucky. Generally, when he shoots the ball well from 3-point range, Kentucky has some success, and when he shoots the ball poorly, that's when Kentucky's lost.
Kentucky has won 18 of the last 19 Southeastern Conference regular season games. We already told you that Alabama's got a 13-game home winning streak right now going. Felix traveling.
When you play a team that defends as well as Kentucky, you attack that defense by moving the ball. And Alabama dribbling the ball right there. It's much easier to guard a dribbler than it is trying to guard the ball when it's being passed. And Felix, battling one-on-one against Hayes, just walks.
The Southeastern Conference Western Division leader Alabama. The Southeastern Conference Eastern Division leader Kentucky. A Kentucky win today gives the Wildcats the league regular season title outright. It would be their 43rd. Sparks again from 3. The rebound is lassoed by Winston. And now to Steele.
I don't recall Kentucky having an offensive rebound in this game, and that was a matter of concern for Mark Godfrey.
You're right. Winston missing horribly, and here comes Sparks, who transfers from Western Kentucky. The alley-oop, and they were looking for Rondo. And now it's picked up by Ernest Shelton. Lasers it inside. That's Jamario Davidson. The passing of Alabama has been precision in this first half.
It sure has, and that's how you attack a good defensive team. You cannot dribble the ball.
That misses from Azubuike, and here is Rondo from point-blank range. Winston with another rebound.
From point-blank range, been in a lot of traffic. That's the first offensive rebound of the game by Kentucky. Alabama lost that game to LSU on a last-second tip-in, and so they have been working very hard on trying to correct some problems with their defensive rebounding, and they have been successful in the first 12 minutes of our game.
Here's Shelton picked up by Sparks. Screened by Winston. Wipe it away, will not count. There was a foul called on Sparks. And he'll pick up his first foul. A couple players with 2 fouls in this game, but nothing of note right now. Alabama has been passing beautifully this afternoon, leading 22-16. With Dan Bonner, Kevin Harlan, some of the numbers. Chuck Davis and Kennedy Winston for Alabama have 9 points apiece. We came into this game thinking about Kentucky and their defense, how terrific Dan it had been all season, but that has not been the case in the early going here.
Well, I think the defense has been pretty good, Kevin, but Alabama has attacked it very effectively. They have 7 field goals thus far in the game, 6 assists on those 7 field goals. So the Crimson Tide have done a nice job getting the ball up the court quickly and with some great passes. This is the last example. Shelton into Davidson. Davidson ran the court, got down before the Kentucky players, and Shelton was able to find him.
4 lead changes in a tie. Alabama has led by as many as 7. Kentucky has had a 1-point lead. This free throw right there by Shelton. And he's pretty good at the free throw line. He had made 13 of his last 14 heading to that trip right there.
Well, in Kentucky, they're on the road. They really haven't got on track offensively, and they're only down by 6 points in the game. Alabama goes back to that zone defense.
Azubuike's in there with Crawford and Sparks.
And what you see in the game now is a small lineup for Kentucky.
Sheree Thomas is in, and Chuck Hayes. That's the 5 for the Wildcats. Sparks from way outside. Nails his second 3-point shot today.
Boy, that was a deep 3-point shot. And again, good news for Kentucky. But this is a Kentucky team that is very versatile. They can play big. They can play small. Right at the moment, they're going with a smaller lineup, trying to increase the defensive pressure.
Here's Davis, and he is swarmed. Shelton, touch pass. He leaks. And he was open. He buries a 3. And Alabama answers that tough, trapping Kentucky defense.
That's what Kentucky's defense is in there to do. They have the small lineup, but you have to give Davis a lot of credit for just being tough with the basketball, getting the ball out of that trap.
Here is Sheree Thomas out of Montreal, Quebec, and pickpocketed by Davis, who is out there with Felix, Winston, Shelton, and Steele manning the point. And they go inside. Winston was the initial guy diving in the lane. And Chuck Hayes. Let's go to New York and Craig Gumbel.
All right, Kevin, thank you. Number 3, Boston College at home to Seton Hall. Had to finish on a 10-3 run to secure a 12-point win. Jermaine Watson with his follow here. The tip-in is good. BC wins 19 straight at home, 70-58, Kevin.
Greg, thank you. Davis with the free throw. He now has a game-high 10. What about Boston College this season?
Boston College has been very impressive. You know, nobody thinking about Boston College very much before the start of the season. And, of course, that lack of respect has had a little chip on their shoulder all season long, and they've used it very effectively. They certainly haven't been dominant, but they continue to win games. So here comes Alabama with some pressure.
Steele and Shelton. Working around Hayes. And the rebound by Bobby Perry. 8 points is the biggest Alabama lead this afternoon. Still the 2-3 zone for the Crimson Tide. Crawford. He'll put up a 3 and try to loosen that defense. Chuck Davis with another rebound. He's got 3 with 11 points.
Boy, really impressed with Alabama's rebounding thus far in the first half. Kentucky getting 1 shot, and that's it. Oh, great pass.
Into Davis again. Ronald Steele is living up to the hype he's received coming in, and a timeout taken by Kentucky. Down by 10 in Alabama.
One of the problems is Kentucky cannot guard the dribble penetration. Steele gets the penetration, draws the defense, dumps it off to Davis. That's a couple of times today that Davis has benefited from guys go out on the perimeter.
Then a 7-0 Alabama run. Let's take a look at our Applebee's neighborhood favorite. Only one of the 126 meetings in this series took place in the NCAA tournament. 1986, Week 16, Kentucky, led by Kenny Walker, defeating Alabama 68-63. Junior Tide guard Mark Gottfried had a quiet day in the loss, scoring only 2 points. The next year in '87, they'd go on to win the Southeastern Conference title, and Gottfried would be the heart and soul of that team.
Absolutely, Mark Gottfried right there. Less hair, certainly no mustache. He claimed that mustache, we showed him that picture yesterday, he said that the mustache, he only had that for a few days, right up until the team picture, and he shaved it off right afterwards.
5 Kentucky turnovers, 4 Alabama turnovers.
Kentucky again going with that small lineup, trying to get some quickness out there. Alabama countering with that zone defense, trying to force Kentucky that likes to go inside to shoot from the perimeter.
Here's Sparks to, rejected by Davis on the Azubuike play. Here's a 2-on-1. Winston shuffling it off to Ernie Shelton. And Alabama's got their biggest lead over Fifth Rock, Kentucky. Sparks for 3. And Steele vacuums it in. Shelton off of Davis and ricochets out of bounds. Alabama has led most of the first half. They're on a 9-0 run. Defense inside by Chuck Davis, who is the second leading Southeastern Conference shot blocker. Showing his wares right there. Naismith trivia for a shot at $1 million. Text play to 26222 on your wireless phone. You'll get 20 questions for 20 chances to win a trip to the 2005 NCAA Men's Final Four and a shot and $1 million. And Greg Gumbel and Seth Davis are sharpening their tools and getting ready to take you through the singular at the half in New York. Kentucky has won 22 consecutive games against the SEC West. The last loss to a Western Division team to Alabama, January of '02 at Rupp Arena.
And don't count these Wildcats out just yet. They have shown the ability to come back in basketball games. Hayes travels on the inside. They cannot afford to keep turning the ball over, Kevin, but at Louisville in December, they were down 16 at half and came back to win. And at Ole Miss in January, they were down 13 at the half and came back to win. Tubby Smith, however, would prefer they play from in front the whole way. This coming from behind certainly doesn't help the coach.
Both teams have won 21 games. Kentucky 21-3, Alabama 21-5. Tried to throw it inside. Rondo was working on Chuck Davis. Foul on Rondo.
And Davis already has 13 points in the game. And interestingly enough, Kevin, he hasn't gone very far from the basket to do it. Penetration, he gets the ball on offense. Then on defense, he blocks it away. Again, dribble penetration. They find Davis on the inside. That last play was as far away from the basket as he's caught the ball this afternoon. And he draws a foul drive into the goal.
Here is Davis out of Selma, Alabama. 41st consecutive start today. Now, he was so big on that all-regional team at the NCAAs in Phoenix a year ago. He was absolutely terrific with his 24 points and 9 rebounds against eventual national champion UConn. 11-0 run for Alabama.
When Tubby Smith still looking for combinations out on the court.
Winston picks up a foul there. And he's got one. The leading scorer, Chuck Davis, with 15, only player in double figures in this game. He, of course, is the man from Alabama. He has not missed a shot today. You can see what Kentucky has done in the last 6 minutes.
Well, the Alabama zone has really shut off the inside play that Kentucky was using effectively early in the game.
Jean Felix from the Congo is the one to knock it out. 3:15 to play here in the first half. Perry will leave. And Kalina Azubuike come in.
And this Alabama zone defense has not been a passive zone. They have been extremely active. It's been difficult for Kentucky to find open players.
Josh Carrier has come in for the Cats, the former Mr. Basketball in the state of Kentucky. He's got the ball right now. Rondo. Bobby Moss inside to Hayes, covered by Davis. That was tipped by Steele. Shot clock is at 15. Azubuike with Winston on him. Nice ball rotation, lost for 3. And Felix, the defensive assignment for him as he fell, and he couldn't get up and over to cover his guy.
That was great ball movement by Kentucky. You don't beat a zone by throwing the ball around the outside. You've got to get penetration against the zone, and Kentucky was able to do that. Showed good patience even though the shot clock was running down.
Alabama shooting 50% from the floor. Steele, wide open, Winston, 2. And out of bounds. And off of Alabama.
The last Kentucky basket, you're looking at the passing, and watch this area right over here. That's where the ball is going to end up, but it's great passing by Kentucky to find the open man. The ball goes inside, it comes back outside, then it goes around the perimeter. That's how you attack a zone defense.
Wildcats shooting 39% this afternoon. Here's Carrier, Rondo, and Moss. Nice shot. Azubuike puts it in. He is probably the closest thing to a real star on this Kentucky team. It truly is a team. They've closed the gap. Bama was up by 14. Now they're up 33-25.
Ever since I won all that money on Jeopardy.
What is stinking rich?
With Dan Bonner, Kevin Harlan, we are in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. The sold-out Coleman Coliseum, 15,000 plus. Kentucky's last 4 field goals, Dan, have been 3-point shots, and now they trail by 8. Moments ago, they were down by 14.
The three-pointer certainly helped you get back in the game quickly. Kentucky only shoots about 32% on the year as a team from beyond the 3-point arc.
Azubuike is on Winston. Davis trying to free himself from Hayes. Ronald Steele.
Man-to-man for Kentucky. Again, a smaller lineup, trying to get some quickness out there.
Kennedy Winston, the number 2 scorer in the Southeastern Conference, averaging a team-high 18 points a game. Winston coming off a 22-point performance Tuesday against LSU.
Alabama out of that timeout, comes back out in a man-to-man defense, and that's what'll happen. Shoot some threes, get guys out of the zone pretty quickly.
Kentucky coming into today has won 11 of 12, 2 straight. Azubuike corkscrewing on Felix, and a foul on Felix of Alabama.
On the offensive end, Azubuike does a nice job preventing Kennedy Winston from driving by, but he gets himself off balance. Winston maintains his balance, just steps back and drills it. That's one of the reasons why Kennedy Winston is so difficult to defend. You have to respect that drive, but then if you do, he can rise up and shoot the 3.
Moss looking for Hayes, knocked out of bounds. 50.7 seconds left in the first half. We told you about Kentucky's winning ways. Mark Gottfried and Alabama have won 4 of 5 and 10 of their last 12.
And this is an Alabama team that nationally not a lot of people are talking about, but this is a solid basketball team. It's a chance to get a pretty good seed in the upcoming NCAA tournament.
Moss got the Azubuike miss and puts it in. A rare offensive rebound for Kentucky today.
And that's a place where Kentucky needs to go a little bit more frequently, be more aggressive on the boards. They have not shot a very high percentage, and when that happens, you got to go get the ball and get yourself another opportunity.
Alabama is still +5 in rebounding this afternoon. Rondo with the steal, and sailing for two. Rajon Rondo leads the Southeastern Conference in steals this season.
Just not careful enough with him around there. You can't stand there and hold the ball over your head. What quick hands.
Final seconds of the first half. Winston for 3 over Azubuike. Alabama led by as many as 14 points. Kentucky brings it to a 7-point game at halftime. Kentucky finishes the first half, Greg Gumbel, on a 10-3 run. The 5th-ranked Cats, the 14th-ranked Tide. We send it to you in New York.
All right, thank you.
Where they stopped going inside, and then when they started going inside at the end of the half, suddenly they closed to within 7. So I think Kentucky needs to attack a little bit more than they did in the first half.
So we begin the second half here in Tuscaloosa. Shelton will be with Steele. They've got Davis out there. And they go inside to Winston.
Well, again, another great pass. That is now 10 assists for Alabama in 12 field goals.
Here's Sparks, who leads Kentucky with 6. Azubuike with Rondo. Chuck Hayes is in the game. Morris is the center. Hayes inside. Gets his own miss. And I think Jamario Davidson got a hand on him as he was going up. Davis was defending as well. Davidson picks up his 3rd foul.
Okay, look at Budweiser Select presents our halftime stats. You see Alabama shooting the ball very well. Only one team this year, South Carolina, shot 50% for a game against Kentucky. There's those points inside we were talking about. Kentucky a lot early, some late. And then Chuck Davis right here, 15 points in the game, Kevin, but only 4 shot attempts. He's made all 4 of his field goal attempts and 7 free throws.
These are the first Kentucky free throws of the game. He missed his first, he hits his second. And Hayes has 5 points in a rebound today.
And that may be a preview into Kentucky's offensive strategy in the second half. Punching the ball inside to Hayes, trying to let him use his muscle against Davis.
Davis with the ball as a game-high 15. Here's Davidson. And Ronald Steele, the freshman, trying to carve his way in and finds a Kentucky foul.
One of the most impressive things about this freshman is his ability to make decisions. Haven't seen too many bad ones today. Has an opportunity out on the perimeter. They go for the steal, and he recognizes it and drives to the basket right into the big crowd and draws the foul.
Freshman Randolph Morris picks up his 3rd personal foul for Kentucky, and this is Steele at the free throw line. And that is a comparison of the freshman point guards who have been sensational all season long and continue to grab the letters on the marquee outside the Coleman Coliseum. This game has been led mostly by Alabama by as many as 14 points.
And Morris goes to the bench after his 3rd personal foul. The Kentucky big guys have really had problems today avoiding fouls. Orbzut in the game now also has 2 personal fouls.
Division leaders, top 20 teams battling here. Orbzut gives it off to Azubuike, and nice play inside when he was off balance and contorted. Azubuike puts it through, the junior from Oklahoma.
And again, an attacking basket that time by Kentucky, taking the ball inside, driving it hard to the goal. Boy, what quick hands Rondo has.
And Steele almost there too with a nice crossover to get free, and now he has a defensive switch with Azubuike on him. Davidson to Davis, who saves it, and Steele for 3. Orbzut gets it with a nice release to Rondo. He had a 2-on-1 with Azubuike, and it's out of bounds. And Alabama's ball.
Rondo just got a little bit ahead of himself in the fast break. He saw a teammate open under the basket, was trying to get him the ball, and sort of was in between dribbles, wasn't able to control it.
A Kentucky win today gives the Wildcats the Southeastern Conference League regular season title outright. It would be their 43rd, and Alabama win keeps them in contention for that SEC title and in front of LSU in the Western Division. Sparks defending Winston. Sheldon picked up by Azubuike. And the shot clock is at 10. Winston into Rondo. Sheldon.
Well, that's a crusher defensively. You do a nice job, force Kennedy Winston into a tough shot, and then can't finish the defensive possession by getting a rebound.
Good point. Hayes on Davis, and he scoops it home.
See, that really puts a lot of pressure on Davis. Davis sort of had the first half all to himself, but now they're making Davis play defense, putting some pressure on him. Maybe that's the best way to defend Davis. Get him in foul trouble, make him go to the bench.
Davis with the game high 15. Winston's got 14. No one for Kentucky in double figures as of yet. With about 3 minutes gone here in the second half. Sparks deflects it. Hayes keeps it alive and volleyballs it right back to Sheldon. Steele. Oh, what a pass to Davis.
I'll tell you what, Davis is stronger than he looks. He looks a little thin, but that was just a power move to the basket. And Orbzut is no little guy, well over 7 feet, about 260 pounds.
Boy, Davis has been getting some great passes. Sparks hits his third three-point shot today for the Cats.
And Kentucky simply will not go away. They have not played what you would consider a classic basketball game, but you notice the halftime stats. They have shot the ball 44% there. Rondo picks up the foul.
Rondo picks up the foul. That is number 2.
Alabama has had good success today, particularly going inside to Davis. Another nice pass. And Kentucky, however, has an answer. This is Sparks' third three-point shot. Sparks with the nice job with the fake, gets rid of the defense, and then is able to pull up and hit the three.
The freshman Rondo will take a seat. Ramel Bradley, a freshman from New York, will come in for the Wildcats.
Kevin, Kentucky played 13 different guys in that first half.
Wow.
So Tubby Smith not afraid to go to that bench.
Davis again. Hayes trying to stick on him. Doubled by Sparks. Kicks it out nicely, and Winston. What a great pass. The double team comes his way, and he snaps it back, does Hayes out to Winston.
But he didn't throw it to the next logical guy because Kentucky had that play covered. What great patience by Davis to recognize the presence of the open man and get him the ball.
Bradley for 3. He knocks it in. That is Ramel Bradley.
And Kevin, a Kentucky team that's not noted for its three-point shooting ability is staying in the game, shooting the three.
7 of 11 this afternoon. Missed by Shelton. Azubuike with the rebound. And here comes Bradley. Steals on Bradley. Freshman on freshman. Look at the three-point shooting numbers right there, today and during the season. Bradley on Steele, Sparks working on Shelton, and then a little shove. May have been Davis, may have been Shelton. Let's see, Sparks collides. They're going to put the foul on Ernest Sheldon of Alabama. That is the first on him. Alabama's been on top by as much as 14. Kentucky hanging in, the 5th-ranked Cats down by 7. Really the heart and soul, the leader of the Wildcats, 101st consecutive start today, and he's looking to lead UK in rebounding for the 3rd straight year. Maybe the first Wildcat since Dan Issel to do that. Now let's take a look at today's All-State Alumni Update. And the 2 names you saw, Alex Croza, who went on to a nice career as a coach and GM in the old ABA, and the horse, 15 seasons, Dan Issel in the ABA and NBA. Over 27,000 career points. Now we've got about 5 minutes gone here in the second half. Kentucky from the floor is shooting 50% now for the game. And outside, that was a missed shot, but a foul. Popping it was Bradley. And shoved on the play, it looked like, by Chuck Davis. It was a foul on him for the 2nd time for Alabama.
Not a good foul by Davis. Alabama back into that zone defense, trying to come out and defend against the three-point shot. Never want to foul that guy shooting a three.
Well, during the season, a lot of attempts at the line for the Wildcats, but today that was their third, and that rims out. Two best teams in the Southeastern Conference in terms of record and defense, too, scoring defense in particular.
Well, the defensive advantage for the most part today has been held by Alabama because they really have forced Kentucky to the perimeter. Kentucky's a team that likes to play from the inside out. Davidson comes out of the game. Felix comes in. But Kentucky's not been able to do that today. After some success inside early, they've gone to the perimeter.
Felix grabs the rebound. Here comes Alabama shooting 52%. Steele. Now they go inside, and Davis double team quickly. Felix. Hayes on him. Shelton. And that is a foul on Robbie Moss. A walk-on. But a good defender for the Wildcats.
You're right, Kevin. Moss has a reputation of being a tenacious one-on-one defender, and you saw it right there. He very nearly got himself in pretty good position. That was a tough recovery, scrambling out of that double-team situation, which once again Alabama handled pretty well.
It's Davis, Orbzut defending. And Felix knocked it away, but Kentucky comes up with it. Here comes Sparks. Orbzut, and now Moss. Sparks, he's hit 3 threes. He's way off there. And Alabama grabs the rebound. Alabama is +4 in rebounding this afternoon as they defend their 13-game home winning streak against Kentucky today.
Boy, that was a wide open look for Sparks. That could have cut the lead to 3. And just sitting here watching the game, if you weren't looking up at the scoreboard, you'd think Alabama was way ahead, but they are not.
But within 6 now. This is the closest they've been in a while. Felix over Hayes for 3.
Felix is a guy who's not shy about shooting the ball.
Bradley. Moss, open 3. And he buries it. And now Kentucky down by as many as 14, creeping to within 3 and approaching 13 minutes to play. A 7-0 Kentucky run.
Mark Gottfried, finally the coat has come off for the Alabama head coach. Kentucky has really done a nice job defensively, making Alabama slow down and cutting off that inside where Davis had such success in the first half.
Steele got a screen from Davis. Felix works on Hayes and snaps it out to Shelton. Going inside to Winston. That is off of Kentucky.
But there's no time left on the shot clock.
Shot clock is empty, and that's what Tubby's pointing to, and that is a shot clock violation as Kentucky is tightening the defensive screws in the second half.
That's a great play on defense to slap the ball away. That's the last chance, of course, that Alabama has. You saw when that slap away occurred, only 2 seconds remaining on the shot clock.
Good little run put together by the Wildcats, and here is a 3 by Bradley. And Kentucky shooting the 3 ball this afternoon, 9 of 14. It's a 1-point game with 12.5 to play, and Alabama takes time. 47-47, we are tied with that 3. There was some dispute as to whether he was inside the line. You can see landing on it right there. But it is indeed a 3 after they review it. Kentucky is tied it.
This is it. Time. PT Cruiser is no ordinary.
Monday on CBS, what did viewers pick as the 5th most popular Raymond of all time? Catch a special viewer's choice. Everybody loves Raymond. Then Charlie Sheen's real wife, Denise Richards, and daughter, guest star in 2.5 Men. It's TV's funniest hour of comedy. It begins Monday at 9, 8 Central on America's most watched network, CBS. Well, the game is tied. One official had his arm up, one official did not. Clearly, you can see he is above the arc.
Well, there's the line right there, and his foot is back from it, so he's all right.
The amazing thing about that shot, to me, I don't think that was a particularly good shot. A between-the-legs dribble early in the shot clock with the defender right in your face. Kentucky has made 4 of 5 in this half. So 4 3-point baskets in this half already for Kentucky.
So a 10-0 run by the Wildcats, and they've tied the game. And
they've made 9 3-pointers in the game.
Trying to get free and no place to go. Kennedy Winston was in a straitjacket. Here's Hayes, hounded by Davis, and they get it across with Moss.
Well, we haven't seen that crisp passing by Alabama in this half the way we did in the first half. A lot of dribble penetration by the Tide, and Kentucky's defending it very well.
Azubuike, guarded by Davidson. He puts up a 3. Hayes with an offensive rebound. And back into Azubuike. Counted for 2 and a foul. What a pass by Chuck Hayes. And Kentucky has gone up by 2. Their biggest lead today. Great pass, Hayes, Azubuike. And the Cats are on a 12-0 run over Alabama.
Basketball coverage is sponsored by Coca-Cola. Make it real. Sprint. The Sprint PCS fair and flexible plan for families means the end of ugly overages. And by Autotrader.com. The best place to find a car is also the best place to sell one. Autotrader.com.
The Wildcats have hit 11 of their last 15. They're on a 12-0 run.
And look here, there's pretty good defensive position by Alabama on this play, but watch here as Davidson doesn't block Azubuike out and he's able to get down into the lane. You've got to continue that block out. Azubuike just cuts right by Davidson down into lane. Excellent pass. That long rebound is just a tough break, but you got to keep your defense going. You can't let Azubuike just cut right down to the lane.
Azubuike coming off a career-high 30-point night against Auburn on Wednesday. He is the first Wildcat in double figures. And now a 3-point lead by Kentucky is their biggest this afternoon.
And one thing that Kentucky has done very well defensively today is really held down Ernest Shelton. He only has 2 points, and particularly when they're playing in a half-court set, I think he needs to be a threat.
There's a foul on Azubuike. We've got the Southeastern Conference Western Division leader Alabama against the Southeastern Conference Eastern Division leader Kentucky, and a Wildcat win today gives them the league regular season title outright. If Alabama wins, they keep in contention for that same title, and they stay in front of a hard-charging LSU in the West. Here comes Steele. Kentucky's got 1 player in double figures, and Alabama's got 2, 17 apiece for Davis and Winston of the Crimson Tide. Alabama led by 14. Now they trail by 3, and a great scoop layup and a chance to tie. A sensational play inside by Ernest Shelton.
Just the guy we were talking about. Shelton takes the ball hard to the basket. Nobody comes to help. They're worried about Davis. You see, Orbzut does not come to help, and that gives Shelton the lane to the basket. Now, of course, this is a spectacular play, but in the first half, Orbzut would have come to cover.
That ties the game at 50. It is the game's 3rd tie. We've had 4 lead changes. Felix and Brock are in there for Alabama. Steele's in the game. Shelton's in there, as is Davis, who makes a steal right there.
That's just a great play by Brock.
Steele looking for Shelton and out of bounds. We've got Robbie Moss along with Ramel Bradley in for the Kentucky Wildcats. And Orbzut is in for Kentucky in the middle. Hayes and Azubuike.
Kentucky back to the man-to-man. Orbzut is still guarding Davis, and Alabama really had some success going at that matchup in the first half.
Knocked away, good steal by Moss. Here's Hayes. Azubuike goes in, swept away inside by Shelton. And Alabama stopped what was a good break by Kentucky. Davis double. Steal for 3. Steele with the steal, and inside he goes, and a charge.
Well, that's a tough break for Alabama. Their defense very effective. Here he takes the ball hard to the basket. The rule is both feet on the floor facing the dribbler is defensive possession. Position. Now Steele on the previous play. Again, a nice job by Davis coming out of the double team, finding Steele. Kentucky has not handled the pressure well.
Diving inside is Rondo, can't get it to go, and a rebound by Winston, and a foul on the freshman for the Wildcats, Rondo.
What we're seeing from Alabama is Felix and Brock, two guys coming off the bench, and when they're playing in the front of that press, they are very, very aggressive, and Kentucky simply has not handled that very well.
Rondo's got 3 fouls, as does Morris for the Kentucky Wildcats. 3 on Davidson for Alabama. That is a foul situation. Felix into Davis, who has only scored 2 second-half points after putting in 15 for the Crimson Tide in the first half.
And every time he catches it inside, they double him.
Felix and Steele on the rotation to Winston. Azubuike defending. Rondo with the rebound. Rondo. Azubuike a chance to tie for Sparks, and he does! Another 3 for Sparks, who has nailed 4 from above the arc this afternoon.
And Kentucky, when they can get out in transition, beat that Alabama defense down the court. They have been very effective today.
Kentucky 10 of 16 shooting the 3 ball today. 7 of 17 for Alabama.
Alabama needs to find another source of offense because every time Davis catches the ball close to the basket, he's double teamed. Oh, that's close to a 5-second violation.
Shot clock at 2. Hayes comes up with the steal, and it's out to Rondo.
That's a tough spot to put Steele in. Only 2 seconds on the shot clock. He had no choice but to go to the basket, and once again, that solid Kentucky defense comes to the fore.
Alabama's got 11 turnovers, and Kentucky's got 10. Azubuike to the rack.
Alabama just looked a little bit disorganized defensively on that possession. The Alabama defense, which has been so strong today, broke down right there.
6 lead changes and 4 ties in this game, which has been a beauty from the capacity-filled Coleman Coliseum on the University of Alabama campus. Felix throws it away. Azubuike comes up with it. Here comes Sparks, but the defensive Bama back to guard.
It's tough, though. You keep turning the ball over. Give Kentucky those opportunities. Man-to-man.
Sparks open. He's hit 4. He's hit 5. Patrick Sparks, the transfer from Central City, Kentucky, has now given the Wildcats their biggest lead this afternoon. They're up by 5. They trailed by 14 in the first half.
And Patrick Sparks has done a great job moving without the basketball. First in transition, excellent pass, and then just getting open and knocking down the 3. Kentucky with its biggest lead.
Kentucky in 3-point attempts and makes. 8-0 Kentucky run, 6 authored by Sparks. The Wildcats have their biggest lead today, 58-53.
And Alabama turned it over 6 times in the first half, but they've turned it over 6 times in the last 5 minutes. Kentucky shooting almost 80% from the field in this half.
Steele to Davidson. And Brock can't get it. And out of bounds, 7:11 to play. 5th-ranked Kentucky has beaten Western Division teams 22 consecutive times. Will they make it 23? Kentucky Wildcats have been in the top 10 all season long, as high as number 3 in February. Different guys on different nights. Today, it's been Patrick Sparks.
And Patrick Sparks from 3-point range. He is 5 of 8 shooting from out beyond the arc. Kentucky 6 of 8 in this half alone. from beyond the three-point arc, and this is a Kentucky team so versatile. We've seen them play a big lineup. We've seen them play a small lineup. We've seen them score inside. We've seen them score outside. This is a good basketball team. And remember, they were down by 14 in the first half.
Well, you said they are truly a team. There is not one guy that necessarily stands out above the pack.
And this is a very interesting graphic right here. You can see when Patrick Sparks shoots the ball well from three, the Wildcats tend to win, and when he shoots the ball poorly, they tend to lose, and he is really shooting the ball well today.
This would not be the first time that Kentucky has come back from a double-digit deficit this season. 7 to play. And that will call in for Steele, the freshman from Alabama, whose second college choice, ironically enough, was Kentucky.
That was a big basket for Alabama. Their inside game has been shut off, and with Ernest Shelton not shooting the ball well from the perimeter today, they needed somebody to get a basket from outside.
Sparks dancing on Shelton, hits it again! 18 for Patrick Sparks, who in his senior season in high school at Central City led the state of Kentucky in scoring.
With as well as he's shooting the ball from three today, you have to make him put it on the deck and drive to the basket.
He's hit 6 threes this afternoon.
The high post screen, and Shelton drops off him. Now see, he tries to drive the ball to the basket, and Shelton drops off because he wants to defend against that drive. You want him to drive the ball to the goal. You've got to stay close enough to Sparks, force him to drive around you to the basket, make him make a play.
Randolph Morris just picked up his 4th personal foul. He has had that kind of afternoon. Davidson is out there with Shelton at the line. They've also got Chuck Davis on the floor and Kennedy Winston. Steele is the point guard.
An Alabama team that really made a living in the first half from the free throw line. 9 points out of 10 free throw attempts in the first half.
Sparks, Hayes, Ezebuki. Orbzut is in the game. Wando is in the game for Kentucky. That sets up the Kentucky 5 and the Alabama 5 on the floor. These two teams, ironically enough, have started the same lineups every game this season, including today.
Alabama's got to dig in defensively now. Kentucky scoring almost at will, particularly from three-point land in the second half. The Wildcats now 11 of 15 shooting the ball in the second half, make that 12 of 16.
What a pass by Rondo, the freshman.
What great quickness, though, Kevin, to get by the defense out on the perimeter. That's the way Alabama hurt Kentucky in the first half. That dribble penetration, draw the defense, kick the ball to the inside guy for the layup. Hayes has had a big second half.
Hayes is on Davis. Winston will now tangle with Ezebuki, the 3.
See, I don't think that's a good shot. Not enough ball movement, so even if you miss the shot, if you move the ball effectively, you have guys in position for rebounds. But that quick shot, Kentucky in great rebounding position.
Alabama coming in as 1-4-5. There's a great steal by Davis. That's his 3rd steal this afternoon. And the little beauty by Kennedy Winston.
The steal results in a transition basket, and Winston, instead of settling for the 3, attacks the goal.
Now the crowd is alive with 5 minutes to play, and Kentucky with the ball, shooting 56% from the field.
Man-to-man defense.
Sparks, another 3! Unbelievable! Patrick Sparks has gone 7 of 10 from above the arc this afternoon.
Well, when a guy's feeling it like that, Kevin, you simply cannot allow yourself to get picked off. They've got to switch that. They can do everything they can, switch the screen, do whatever they have to get out on Sparks.
Alabama is shooting 50% from the floor, and they go inside, and Davidson was hounded by Orbzut.
What we've got is Patrick Sparks right down here underneath the basket, comes out just off the screen. They've got him standing in the middle of the court, in the middle of the lane. He can go to either side on the screen. Alabama not defending that very well.
Orbzut picks up his 3rd foul. Davidson is at the line. Kentucky by 6. Now by 5.
It's a nice job by Alabama to get back to the line, but with this gentleman making all his three-point shots, Alabama gradually falling further and further behind because they're scoring 2, and Patrick Sparks is going down to the other end to get 3.
Sparks, who was coached by his dad in high school, went to Western Kentucky, led them to the NCAAs, and transfers after sitting out to the Wildcat program. 4-point game, 4.5 to play. The beginning of a great college basketball weekend on CBS. UConn and Pitt is on decks tomorrow. Kansas and Oklahoma State on CBS.
That's a much better job by Kentucky that time, getting on Sparks. Now they're trying to guard him with Winston, a bigger player. Good heavens, and now you get out there and you cover the 3, drives to the basket and makes it 2. That's his first 2-point basket of the game.
He's got 23. And Sparks has accounted for 14 of Kentucky's last 18 points in this game. Davis, he has got all kinds of traffic every time he touches the ball in the second half inside.
And that time he tried to force it through the double team.
He had 15 in the first half, just 2 points here in the second.
And you have to credit the Kentucky defense. They made a great adjustment at halftime.
Rondo, Azubuike, slashing inside. Rebound by Davis. He now has 5 rebounds and 17 points.
Well, now Alabama got to stop. They haven't gotten many stops in the second half. Now let's see if they can convert. Kentucky in the man-to-man.
Alabama +2 in rebounding. Steal down the lane. Azubuike with the rebound.
That was not a good decision by the freshman point guard.
And Orchard at the other end got the feed and gallops in. And Kentucky has a lead of 8. This is their biggest lead this afternoon, and Alabama will take time. Kentucky has been terrific. Authored by the 23 points and 7 threes of Patrick Sparks. The 5th-ranked Wildcats on top by 8.
3 of 9.
Kentucky Sparks leading all scorers with 23. 19 from Winston of Alabama leading the Crimson Tide.
And now Kentucky can afford to take its time. You know, the half-court offense looks a whole lot better when you got a guy out there knocking down every 3 he shoots.
Shot clock at 8. Chuck Hayes, double team. Tried a left-handed shot, picked up by Winston. And a foul on Hayes of Kentucky.
And Hayes gets that foul, and his coaches are a little bit upset with him that he picked up that foul. Not a very good one. But Hayes is the guy, I think, who set the tone here early in the half, driving the ball to the basket.
He picks up his second timeout with the Wildcats up by 8. Let's check the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. 3-point shooting. Sparks with 7 of Kentucky's 13 hits above the arc. Get complete game stats at CBSSportsline.com. Kentucky trailed by 14 and by 7 at halftime. They've come out and shoot 75% in this second half. 15 of 20. The lead is 8. A game that has had 4 ties and 6 lead changes.
And for the most part, they've gotten really good shots in the second half. But I'm telling you, Sparks has made some tough baskets. And that Hayes foul was a bad one simply because Alabama needs to get closer and they need to do it without the clock running. And so Winston, an excellent free throw shooter, gets to the line and knocks down 2.
Court pressure by Alabama.
I see. I think they'd like to try to foul Rondo, and they missed him. Rondo, not a good free throw shooter.
Steele does it. That's a second on Steele. And they'll put Rajon Rondo at the free throw line maybe later on, but not now. He's at 59%. We'll have to see exactly who will be holding the ball as the clock continues to tick.
Alabama, this next foul will put him on the line.
Right.
See, the problem that you have is Steele is a guy that Mark Godfrey would want to have in the game to try to make plays down the stretch here. And if Steele is the guy that's got to foul Rondo, then he won't be around very long. Kentucky has only been to the free throw line 6 times today, 6 attempts. Well, they wanted him at the line, and now they need to get a conversion. This is a situation where you don't have time to not score. You've got to get the ball down the court and score once you get that stop.
Shelton. It is a 3, and it's a 3-point game. Winston fouls Azubuike.
Well, Azubuike, a 72% free throw shooter. Boy, Kentucky continues to do a great job against Davis. That time, Davis gets the ball out to Shelton, and Shelton hits it. We've seen a couple of previous times in this half where Shelton has not been able to convert that shot. Still a 1-and-1 for Kentucky. He's got to make the first one to get the next.
Kentucky is 3 of 7 from the line today. Alabama from the free throw line, 18 of 19. Timeout, Kentucky, with a minute and a half to play in a 72-67 Kentucky lead. Kentucky deficit. They've led by as many as 8 here in the second half with incredible shooting, and Patrick Sparks with 7 threes for the game. That is our game reset. So far, Kentucky shooting a school record 67% from three-point land today.
A school record?
So far. Missed opportunity. Davidson tries to get it, and out of bounds it goes, and Alabama will inbound.
Don't have a lot of time for missed opportunities. Kennedy Winston right to the basket, misses the shot. Alabama fortunate to recover the ball.
Steele. Winston. Good move on Sparks, and outside to Steele. Moss is in the game for Kentucky.
This nice defensive work by Kentucky.
Moss knocked it away. Steele slips inside.
It took a lot of time to get that two-point basket, though.
Three-point game. Quick foul made by Ronald Steele of Alabama. That is the fourth on him.
Steele, this is sort of a desperation play right here. Great defensive work out on the perimeter. Ravi Moss really doing a nice job preventing Kennedy Winston from driving the ball to the basket. Moss is in the game because he is a better free throw shooter than Rondo. Moss, a 71% free throw shooter. Hadn't been to the line today, though.
Moss and Sparks, Azubuike, Orbzut, and Hayes, the Kentucky 5. Alabama with Davidson, Davis. We got Steele out there, Shelton, and Kennedy Winston.
I'm telling you, go on the road, you get down 14, the crowd is totally against you, and nonetheless, you're able to fight your way back.
Moss hits it again. He has 10 points, and Kentucky holding on to a 5-point lead. CBS, critics call CSI Miami slick, powerful, and fascinating. See for yourself why it's Monday's most watched show. Don't miss CSI Miami, Monday at 10, 9 Central on CBS. Jean Felix is checked in for Alabama. The game reset right there. Just under a minute to play in regulation. And a quick-moving freshman guard, Steele, works into Sparks.
You've got to score very quickly.
And he scoops it up. Felix comes down the lane uncovered and taps it in, makes it a 3-point game. Azubuike is fouled.
The problem with this particular strategy is if you're only going to score 2-point baskets, as Alabama does right here, this is a nice job by Sparks to get down into the lane. The defense has to come to him, so Felix is available for the tip, but that's just 2. And then if Kentucky goes down and makes both free throws, you haven't cut into the margin.
This will be the 12th free throw attempt by Kentucky in the second half. They had not a single trip to the free throw line in the first half here in Tuscaloosa.
Oh, and they're really defeating the fouling strategy right at the moment by making the free throws. And the only way, if you're Alabama, you can offset that is to come down and make threes. So on these exchanges, you're picking up a point each time, but the Tide have not been able to do that.
Good point. Rebound by Davis. He's got 6.
All right, now they did pick up a point right there.
Winston into Moss. And Sparks vacuums it in, and a quick foul. Looked like Shelton may have tagged him for Alabama.
There's driving forays down the lane by Kennedy Winston. He's getting shots close to the basket, but the Kentucky defense is making it difficult for him, and they're just not parting and getting out of the way. They're forcing him into tough shots, and as a result, he has been missing those. They've been fortunate to have Alabama to get the rebounds, but no rebound that time.
Sparks has been the hero today. He's got 24 points. Coming in number 5, the Kentucky Wildcats. In the conference, 12-1. Where do you see this team?
I tell you what, this team is one that they don't have any real star players on the team. If you go on the road and you win a game like this, that certainly helps all the statistical ratings.
Winston for 3, misses it all, and it sails out of bounds.
This is a very impressive Kentucky team. Tubby Smith seems to have a lot of options, and he exercised most of them today. They weren't playing well early. He went with a small lineup. He has now called a timeout here at the end of the game.
Coming back from 14 down, they lead by 6. You see what they've done over the last 3 seasons with the highest winning percentage in college basketball. 15 consecutive 20-win seasons. Last season they were 27-5, and this year Kentucky is 21-3, maybe 22-3. Sparks, and fouled by Felix.
You know, the interesting thing, all those numbers about Kentucky has had a great program throughout its history. In fact, with their win today, they will now be 2 wins away from 1,900 wins in school history. But the most impressive number about Tubby Smith's guys today, for me, is the fact that they're going to set a school record shooting 3-point baskets. And this, a Kentucky team that's not noted for its ability to shoot the 3. They shoot 32%. Kentucky has had much better 3-point shooting teams, but to set a school record for 3-point shooting percentage is just amazing.
And for Tubby Smith, he is hovering over his 5th SEC title. Steele over Sparks. Felix gets the loose ball for Alabama. Chuck Davis, who had a 15-point first half and a 2-point second half. And I think that best describes the difference of Alabama from first to second half.
There's no question what Kentucky did was cut off the Alabama inside game, and when you cut off that inside game, suddenly you're not able to put together inside-outside as Alabama did so well in the first half. Great win by Kentucky.
The Kentucky Wildcats have won the Southeastern Conference regular season title outright for the 43rd time. Down by 14, they win by 7. With Patrick Sparks putting in 26. He authored 20 in the second half. And now our Chevy MVPs. We told you about Sparks and Kennedy Winston at 21-6 for Alabama. Chevrolet will make a contribution to each school's general scholarship fund that will reward outstanding students for their academic achievements and to assist those in financial need. We'll take a break and then take you to New York with Greg Gumbel. A terrific game. 2 top 20 teams. The top teams in the Southeastern Conference. For Dan Bonner, Kevin Harlan saying so long. The Kentucky Wildcats, the regular season champions in the Southeastern Conference.